For the fitness round, I've seen people generally take it very lightly that I've already crossed 4 to 5 interviews. This is just the last step. But let me tell you, I have seen people get rejected in the last round as well. Please make sure, I mean, I'm exaggerating, please make sure that you work hard for even behavioral questions, because it's not what answers you are giving. The recruiter is analyzing your answers.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another podcast. For this podcast, we have with us Mrs. Komal Pandya. So before starting the podcast, I would like to give a brief introduction about ma'am. Ma'am has done her BTech in Information Technology. She has completed her MTech in the field of computer science from the prestigious Pilani. Now she is currently working as a software developer at Microsoft. So, ma'am, it's great to have you at our podcast. We can start the podcast with a brief introduction. I would generally say brief introduction about your company, but I think most of us know about Microsoft. But what are your day-to-day responsibilities at Microsoft? What are your KRAs? What are your KPIs? So, how does your day look like at Microsoft?
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me, Vaibhav. I'm glad to be a part of Grow Junction, and I think it's a great platform for students to connect with working professionals and learn from our experience. So thank you for that. And coming to my introduction, so I'm a full stack developer currently working as a senior software engineer at Microsoft. I have more than 8 years of experience in the industry, and throughout this tenure, I have sailed through different domains and different tech stacks. Different tech stacks, I would say. Full stack developer means working on both front end as well as back end. So my tech stack is mainly React, Angular, TypeScript, etc. for front end, and back end is SQL, Cosmos. Everything built on top of .NET framework and various other cloud Azure offerings. Mainly Azure I'm working on right now. Apart from that, right now I'm working in Azure core domain. So as I mentioned, my responsibilities a day in my job would be I connect with my peers, which are mostly product managers, to decide on where you want to take this product further. Take any Microsoft product, for example, say Microsoft Word or something. So since we own the product, we discuss internally what should be the next feature for this and design various POCs and architecture, and then decide basically decide the tech stacks and the architecture for that specific design. Then I come in the developer part. So once the design is finalized, I start developing that design, which goes through various reviews, and we have multiple other things to be discussed as well. For example, the UX review comes in place, or for example, the accessibility part, because we want to make sure the specially abled people are also be able to use our applications. Then it goes through the entire delivery process, which is the mainly infra and working with the pipelines and your cloud offerings, everything. In the end, after tedious testing and development process, we deliver this application to our customers, which is used by people across the world. So in now in a very short way, I manage end to end for any application, starting from requirements gathering to its delivery, and I'm also part of the maintenance process where I connect with customers and try to resolve their issues on a day-to-day basis.
Ma'am, can you share some, since you've been working at Microsoft for 5 years, can you share some applications that you have worked on, maybe that we are using currently, so that we can relate to it more like, okay, this is the feature that you worked on and this is something that we've been using.
Okay, sure. So at Microsoft, right? I started as an associate consultant in Microsoft Global Delivery, where I was working in the SharePoint domain. So at that time, we were moving the customers from SharePoint on-prem to online. So we had written various tools which will automate the process for you. Because consider your SharePoint applications are going to be huge, right? There are tons of data available there, images, videos, big lists, large lists, etc. So I had written that application wherein all you have to do is give your link to the application and it does the entire transition for you. So that was one thing. Another thing, I've developed a lot of internal portals, which is mainly for internal, like Microsoft employees only, which is MS Authorize was one, for example, wherein the application was the key to handle finances across organizations. So, say for example, my leadership team wants to create a contract with some other organization. This was the application they used to. So, not exactly for external customers, but a way to connect internal employees to external customers. And right now, I am in Azure Core Security team, which handles the threat modeling tool, which is a Microsoft product, which is mainly for managing threats and figuring out securities for your application before it goes live. So this tool basically takes a DFT diagram and we figure out all the threats, the potential threats in your application, so that to save you from cyber attacks before it goes live.
And ma'am, when you talk about, say, your KRAs and your KPIs and your everyday routine, what do you feel like? Okay, these are the skills if someone new is entering into the field of, say, a software developer at Microsoft, or if you were 5 years back, what would you say that, okay, develop these skills before entering, and this will help you in the company? It could be technical as well as communication, as well as interaction, these skills as well. So, what do you think would be an advice 5 years younger to yourself or someone who's entering?
Okay. Um, I think there are three most important skills to excel in this specific industry. The first thing I'll say is problem solving approach, because the tech stack can be different. In my example, I started as an iOS developer. I was in .NET, and right now I'm a full stack developer. The technology is going to change and you are going to adapt to different technology as per the industry needs. But the basic is problem solving skills. You must focus on data structures, algorithms to efficiently solve a problem in hand. So you might be able to write the logic for a simple example for, say you are given an array and you want to delete one element from the array. It's a very simple logic. You can write it right away. But are you able to write it in the most efficient way? Time complexity, space complexity, there are lots of things that come into picture to make an algorithm it at its most efficient way. So that is the most important thing I would say. For example, I can give you one more example. Earlier, before Microsoft, I was working at Tatvasoft where I was developing iOS applications. So I think you might have heard of Skyscanner application. So yeah, I was a part of it. So there, your application is being used by millions of people outside, right? Say 10,000 people are trying to book a flight via your application. Is your application able to handle that? So your logic must be that efficient that it handles the load as well. These all are secondary requirements. So the non-functional requirements, like we say, but that all comes, like it all goes hand in hand, right? Second thing I would say is the tech stack and methodologies. Go into your tech stack as deep as possible, because there might be, like, 100 students good at the same tech stack. You need something else that gives you an edge. That will be the methodologies. For instance, all the companies are working on agile framework right now, right? So if you're already aware about the framework, if you're ready to adapt to it, it will be very easy for you to readily start into that process and start delivering from day one. Tech stack is something you will always keep learning. You need to adapt as per the industry needs. Initially, it was simple .NET, Visual Basic, C Sharp, etc. Now we have .NET Core. So many new frameworks are coming in. That is something we'll have to constantly work on. And the third thing I would say is it's actually like a bonus to your resume or your own profile. From my personal experience, I would say even being a developer, you will be developing the application about 50 to 60% of your day, right? So any application you take, development is just 50 to 60% of the job. There are many other factors that come into it to make it into a deliverable. For example, you need to go through privacy, compliance, accessibility. If it's a finance application, you need to go through SOX reviews, UX, etc., etc. Lots of things. But if you're already aware about these things, it will help you go to a next level. It's not just that I know coding, I know programming, I know data structures. You will be able to write your application very well. But knowing about these extra factors, you will be writing your application with an extra 10% at a next 10% level, I would say.
It will
These
give
are the
you
main.
an edge. Yeah, over your
It will give
peer
you an edge,
students
definitely.
just be thinking about the coding aspect. When you think about the broader aspect for
Right.
the company, it will give you an edge.
Exactly. And like this, if you develop a growth mindset from a fresher level or at a very, very early career level, it will help you grow very fast. And that will, so that you can take ownership of your applications. You'll be able to take accountability of what work you're doing because you are able to manage end to end. You are already aware of the entire process and you are able to deliver it at that level.
Another question I had, that when we are talking about skills, I'll go with that question earlier. We see generally the top colleges, say like a BITS Pilani, say IIT, say NIT, they have a very good coding culture. And the people around them are also very into coding. But generally, when we go lower down the scale, uh, it is not that good, even the quality of students. So, how can someone who may not be in the best of colleges but has taken computer science, because a lot of people now take computer science, what can he work upon? What can he say, do this course, do that course? How can he match the same level as someone who's coming out, say, about from IIT Delhi or IIT Bombay?
That's a very valid question, actually. And I also actually, I did masters from BITS Pilani, but my BTech was in Vishwakarma Government College, where I didn't do much coding. Honestly, I started learning on the job, on my first job. So I think for people like us, it's very actually right now there are millions of courses available on the internet, right? So all you have to do is develop that logic. In the end, the syntax can vary based on your tech stack, right? But doing these courses, it will get you ahead to for an approach, right? And second thing is you could focus on certifications. Since you don't have a golden college name on your resume, it might not help directly, but having these extra certifications is definitely a plus. You could do certification on, say, there are so many Microsoft certifications I have done, like HTML, JavaScript, developing with C Sharp. Now there are so many on cloud offerings also, like even IBM has so many courses. If you do that, you will be able to approach the problems in a different way, because you have not done much coding in college, but you are learning in a different way. There are many video courses or even so many certifications available for that. I think that will definitely help you get an edge on your resume, which will help you get shortlisted for interviews. Because I agree, I have noticed many companies don't, they only hire from tier 1, right? So they even seeing the college name on your resume, you might not get shortlisted. But if you add such extra bonuses, that will definitely get you an interview at least.
Yes, ma'am. And another I had somewhat, since we're talking about coding from your college and doing it in the right hands of skills and certification. This is somewhat of a personal question. Means, what's your opinion on with coding being compulsory from class 6 with students? And what's your take on that? Because some are against it, that don't push students, let them choose what they want to choose. And some are saying that in future coding will be so important that you would have to have coding skills. So, what's your opinion on that?
Actually, I definitely agree with the set of people who have designed this course and who have made it mandatory. The reason, again, I'm iterating on the same point. It's not important what you are coding, whether it's C or C sharp, whatever Java, what you are writing. The important is you are developing that mindset to understand, I mean, write that logic towards any problem. You're developing that approach towards it. And that definitely helps in different life skills also, right? It's not necessary you will be a developer in the end, but say you have a problem in hand. Are you able to factor that into mini problems and take one at a time and fix that issue? Consider it as a life skill, I would say. That's why I think it should be a part of it. Mandatory, I'm not sure, because that might create pressure for students. So that's how, maybe that's why parents are against it. And second thing you said, I'm not sure if going forward coding will be an important skill, but it is a very important skill in different aspects of the industry. For example, it's not just the developers who code today. Earlier, testing was manual testing, right? All you have to do is go and manually test each and every feature on your application. Now that is also automated. So even testing profile students or employees also write minimal code to figure out and automate the entire testing for there. Another thing is ML and data science, for example. There also, in the end, you are playing with data and trying to fetch some results out of your data sets. But there also you are writing Python or R. So minimal coding is required. You don't need to code like 70% of the day like we do, but that helps you gain a focused approach and in the most simplistic way. That's why I feel that even the basic coding is required. That will definitely help. You could consider it as a life skill, simplest.
I think rather than considering as a subject that has been forced upon you, take it as a skill that you are getting a problem solving skill. It is more dealing with you, like how do you understand something, how you break it down, and how you come up with solutions. If you are the best, you come up
Exactly.
with the most optimized solution. If not, you come up with your own solutions.
Correct.
And also, ma'am, I had this question in the previous answer that you gave because suddenly I had this coding question about juniors. But how important is brand name in terms of say getting into the top companies? Like we were talking about IITs and IIMs, IITs and NITs, or is it more now? It is becoming more and more about skills. Who has more skills is getting, or still the brand name is very significant in terms of getting employed in not any company, but the big brands, I would say.
Okay. Actually, I agree. Earlier, this was a very specific mindset, and even there were specific HR rules that were given to recruiters that only hire from these set of colleges because they have that specific branding and they have proved themselves enough to reach that level, say IIT or NIT. But now it's changing a lot. You must have seen such news, right? That now Google is hiring even people without college degrees, or even I've seen various companies, not to name any specific, but now it's about everything about the job. Are you qualified for the job or not, irrespective of your academics? Because say for example, you are in sales or marketing profile, right? If you have the required communication skills or the persuasive skills that you can connect with customers and persuade them, you are able to match that level of sales, then then there is nothing stopping you. You can always learn on the job. Anyways, if you see, whenever freshers join, right, they are given specific trainings. Why even freshers, even experienced professionals, when we switch our jobs to that specific domain, we don't have that domain knowledge. You always learn on the job, on the domain you are working, or it could be a different tech stack, different team, different KPIs for that team. That part you are anyways learning. So for people who don't have branding, they still, if they can still develop that required skill set, I think they can still succeed very easily. And for that, again, there are millions of courses available on the internet. And if you don't have a college branding, make sure you have a personal branding by such certifications, so that you have proved yourself enough, that you're proficient enough in this specific skill set, that you can apply on the job and you will be able to work it out.
Yeah, so suppose even if your campus doesn't offer you that many companies, you suppose you apply off campus and they see that you have these certifications and they shortlist you for that. And then if you have the skills, you will automatically get selected. Because once you're in
Exactly.
the interview, it's about skills. It's not about which company or which college you're coming from. It's all about how you can showcase your skills. So talking about
Exactly.
it,
Actually, I'd like to reiterate your point. That is very, very important. We should exaggerate on that. Getting an interview, for that you need your academics or certifications or like something like that to get shortlisted. But once you are in the interview, nobody is checking your academics or your previous history. If you are able to prove yourself in the interview on the required skill set, obviously, and as per the requirements of the new role, you will definitely go through it.
yes, ma'am. Talking about that only, ma'am, how do you prepare for interviews? Like, you have some tricks of how to do, because I have seen my friends prepare and there are usually levels to it. Like there is one technical level, two technical level,
Hmm.
then an HR interview for good companies. So how do
Yeah.
you prepare and what's your strategy to prepare for interviews? or if you have taken interviews,
Okay.
you can talk from the other end as well.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I can give you a combined approach about preparing as an interviewee and looking from an interviewer perspective. So, first of all, yes, you are right. There are different rounds for different roles, obviously. So, from it's very important to understand the different rounds that you are applying for. Say, for example, a software engineer role, right? The first one will be phone screening round generally across different companies. I'm giving a generic approach here. So all they want to see is you are not actually writing any program or algorithm at that time. It's just thinking on the go, the quick response to any problem that you're given in hand. And they want to see what was the most efficient way to do that. Were you able to do that? Then there are mostly 2 to 3 technical rounds where that involves programming mostly, and they want to see how you are able to achieve it, how many problems you are able to solve within the given time frame. And generally, there is 1 or 2 design interviews based on your level of experience. Last thing would be fitness round, whatever you call that. Basically, they want to see, do you have, this is about the soft skills. Are you able to be a part of the team as required, right? There are many forums online also to understand these different interview formats better, so that you are prepared for that specific very clearly, and even recruiters can help you understand that. I want to exaggerate on the first set of interviews first. The design and coding interviews are generally very uncertain. You never know what's going to come up, and are you able to think on the spot? All I would say is, since you have already prepared so well, be calm, think around, like think quietly. The most important thing is try to understand the problem before trying to solve it. Take your time, there's no hurry. And now, I mean, I've seen recruiters are very helping also. Like, I also make sure I
I
help
had a
my
question with
interview.
this because generally what we see that students feel sad because they don't get the right answer to it. But generally what I have seen from the recruiter's point of view, they say that you want to see the right approach rather than even if you do not get the final answer, absolutely
Exactly.
100%. So if you can
That is
just
definitely true, actually. And that's why I'm saying that make sure you understand the problem in hand. You can ask 10 odd questions. We will be there to help you out. And then once you start solving it, make sure you communicate at each and every step so that I understand the clarity of your thought, what you are trying to solve, and how you are trying to solve. If I understand your approach is correct and that's a minor syntax error, a small logic issue, I'm going to neglect that since your approach was correct, and you can definitely go and solve it after that, right? So clear logic is very important. That's why communication is important here. Second thing, if you're able to solve, I'll try to see whether you have covered edge cases or not, very corner cases. So you must try, once your problem is written, try to test your logic in your own way by giving different inputs to it. Try to see if corner cases are covered. Try to check the time and space complexity of your application. All these things is an additional plus for your coding
you can
interviews.
use the traditional word holistic approach where we see everything.
Yeah. That's true. And if it's a design interview, I would say there a lot of practice is required, because for coding, it's mostly data structures and algorithms along with problem solving skills. If it's a design interview, I would recommend going through a lot of existing large applications, say Microsoft Teams or WhatsApp or Twitter or etc. See what is their design, what was their use case, what was what was that they were trying to solve, and try to figure out what was their diagrams, what was their sorry, design and architecture for that specific problem, and then try to do it on whiteboard. Because I remember, even while for coding and design interviews, if you directly work on ID, you already have the intelligence there. You are not able to think, and that's why you are not able to write it on a whiteboard later. So even for design interviews, try to draw that DFT diagrams on whiteboard. Try to do it yourself, and then take help. You will be able to figure out like lots of small things. For example, which should be the tech stack used, the pros and cons for this specific use, what should be the database, the APIs, privacy, cap theorem, lots of things come in place. So I think if you try to if you're clear on what you're solving, if you have a clear architecture diagram, then I think you are already at 50%. Then it's just the extra APIs and DB and tech stack and all that you need to decide, which will help you excel that designing time. You can definitely read a lot about this existing frameworks that will help. And last, for the fitness round,
yeah, you can go ahead.
Yes. For the fitness round, I've seen people generally take it very lightly that I already crossed 4 to 5 interviews. This is just the last step. But let me tell you, I have seen people get rejected in the last round as well. Please make sure, I mean, I'm exaggerating, please make sure that you work hard for even behavioral questions, because it's not what answers you are giving. The recruiter is analyzing your answers. It's like a psychographic analysis of what answers you're giving me. If I say why you want to join this company, the most basic question, it's not just about the salary or it's because I'm a brand, you're coming to Microsoft. Not like that. I want to see whether you have the curiosity to learn new things, you have the ability to adapt to new technologies if required going forward, and are you able to work with a team with different dynamics, right? So all these things will be part of your answers directly or indirectly. That is why we do a fitness round where it's mostly simple questions. Like, for example, if I say, did you have a conflict? Did you ever have a conflict within your team? You would say, yeah, I had a conflict. My teammate was not doing well. I had to say this. This gives you negative marks because you are talking negatively about someone else. This actually gives, yeah. So that is actually lowering your lowering your marks, right? It could be that scenario, no doubt, but please make sure you show it in a positive way, that there was such incident and I tried to fix this in this way and now it's good, or like whatever it is. But such small things need to be taken care of even in behavioral questions.
Yeah, because generally I've seen if there are say 2 to 3 positions and say 5 people have been shortlisted, you don't want to be eliminated, say in the company fit round or we say the HR round, because ultimately you have gone through the journey, you have worked hard on your coding skills, worked hard on your planning skills, and you do not want to be say relaxed about it. Be serious as you were for the previous 3 interviews.
That's true, because say you are at 90% in coding and design, but if you lag in behavioral and basic communication skills, I'd rather pick the one at 85 or 90% for coding and design, because that person is able to adapt and able to learn going forward, but as part of the team. So that person will be selected rather than the one at 90-95%.
Because ultimately he will have to go for training. He doesn't know everything. He must have a good coding basics, but all of them have to go through a training to be accustomed to the company and what the company is doing.
Yes.
And ma'am, once the interview round finishes, you join a company, there is obviously excitement when you join a big company. So what do you think would be challenges when you join a new company? What should be your approach? And third thing is the importance of keeping yourself skilled, especially in the field of self developing, in the field of software, because I feel every 3 to 4 months a new technology, a new say a thing is coming up in the field of software. So 2 aspects to the question. Once you enter, what should be your approach? What should be your mindset? And 3 is how to keep yourself skilled, how to keep yourself updated, and the importance of that.
Okay. So to answer the first question, once you join any company, I would say stay there for some time at least, rather than directly switching very far. About 1 to 2 years minimum in one role in one team. The reason I'll tell you is, say you're new to the team or new to the domain, for example, you will take at least 4 to 6 months to understand the domain in depth. What is the domain requirement? Say, for example, you are in cloud domain. Then for you, this non-functional requirement like availability, like for example, Azure provides 99.9% availability, reliability. All these things take higher priority than adding new features if your existing thing is not working. So similar things are different per domain. So make sure you understand the domain KPIs very well. That will minimum take you 4 to 6 months to understand in depth. After that, it's about your performance. Say, for example, once you understand it correctly, you will take 1 to 1.5 years to deliver what is expected out of you at that level. And then, since you're already doing so well, next 6 months is where you excel. Since you already know the domain so well, you have been working in so much time, you've already done so many deliverables, Now is the time to excel for you. Go at a different level. You can pick up new initiatives. You can give so many new ideas, do some POCs. So that is, I would say, even if you are new to the company, try to understand this domain and excel there with new ideas, and then change if you want to. And if you're so comfortable, well and good. Second thing is growing in this career, right? After you spend some time, I would say you are definitely right. Technologies are changing and you need to adapt to the new frameworks and new languages coming in all the time. From my personal experience, like I mentioned earlier, I started with iOS development. I did .NET, I did backend, front end. Now I am a full stack developer, and there are still so many new languages that I'm learning each day. There are new frameworks coming in. So learning is constantly required. So maybe you can't do, if you can't do it as part of your job, try to do external trainings. There are so many plural side courses or edureka course. There are so many things available, right? And then if you're interested in that, for example, say data science is a buzzword right now. If you're interested, give it a try. Learn Python, learn some supervised learning, neural networks, everything. Do some POC. If you are interested, talk to your manager and take up some extra project on that, so that you don't feel stagnant with the same kind of work going on in your project, but you will be learning something new, and that, that helps you gain fresh mindset every day. So you don't feel stagnant as well. And if you are really liking that, you can definitely try to change your career path in that direction. There are always multiple opportunities available everywhere. So in a very, very simple, to summarize, if you are new, try to understand your domain, excel there, and then shift, because domain knowledge also helps, I must say. I have been a part of education domain, medical domain, finance domain, etc. Everyone has different KPIs and you are expected to deliver in that way. And if you are already a part of some organization, make sure you are not stagnated there, because that not only hampers your own learning. If you're too comfortable at one place, you know that saying, right? God made you uncomfortable so that you would move. It's important. Yeah, it's very important, so that you don't stop learning, and that not only hampers your own career profile but hampers on your resume also. So start, do something on the side always. That will definitely be an additional plus for you in the end.
Also, I feel that when you switch, companies will ask you what you did in your previous company.
Yeah,
And if you,
of
even if
course.
you say you work for 3 to 4 months, you do not have the in-depth knowledge of what you have done and what you could do in that space. So that could hamper your interview as well.
Yes, and one thing I'd like to iterate on this is depth is very, very important. Depth is more important than width, actually. If I know 5 technologies at level 100, that won't help. It's better I know 2 technologies at level 400. In that case, I can, even advise or recommend someone going
Yes.
with this specific tech stack or architecture. And same thing, yeah, yes.
And ma'am, as we come nearly to the end of this podcast, this is one of my favorite questions I ask: is any final piece of advice that you would like to give our audience? Because it could be any general life advice, it could be related to the corporate, any advice that you would like to give to our audience as like a share of wisdom from your side.
Okay, sure. First thing I would say is this could be for the new students coming into this industry, coming into STEM, is explore all the areas before choosing one. As part of your college projects, maybe you had done one tech stack or one, like it, anything, not just for engineering, it could be anything. So explore everything, decide what you like the most. That way you can find your passion early. And once you find that, you can easily go into depth and deliver your best over there, right? Second thing I would say is develop a growth mindset. That's very important at each and every career stage in your, and even personally and professionally, right? It helps you gain a focused approach. So it's all connected. Once you have found your passion, you will be curious and happy to learn every day. Then your job won't be a job. It's like a happy go-to place for you, right? And then you will be able to, you'll be happily learning more and more. So you will anyway, it's like a byproduct. You'll anyways excel so much because you're already enjoying your work. So it's not just because you have to work, make it your hobby, learn more and more every day. And the last thing is lose the fear of failure. I would say that doesn't help at all. I mean, even if you say you didn't clear a specific interview, it's fine. Go to the next one. Fail fast so that you can grow fast. Like if you fail fast, you know that I don't like this thing. That's why I didn't like it. It's same connected to your exploring everything, like I mentioned in the first point. See 10 things, whether you like, which branch you like, where you want to develop your career, and start failing fast. So you know where you like, where you can excel, and that is the thing that you want to grow, develop a focused approach, and develop a growth mindset in that point. That will definitely help you grow very fast.
Yeah, I think you raised very two important points because there's a very famous quote is that if you never failed, you never took a risk. So it's important to explore. It's important to take risks
Yeah.
because until and unless you don't explore, you will never know. So
agreed. And that's part of my day-to-day job also, actually, that if I don't take a risk, that trying something new at different levels of your application or your work or your profile anyways, you don't know if you could have done this better. That is what they ask in interviews, right? Even when I'm switching, what did you do is one question, but how could you have done that better is the next question. So if I had done that, if I had tried that, then I know how I can take it to the next level or why this specific thing failed. So that is very important, guys.
I mean, I'd rather be a man that asked the question rather than the man who regretted not asking it.
Yes, yes. So there's a book also, never stop asking questions, or no question is wrong. Lots of things.
Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge on coding. Thank you for sharing your knowledge on how to crack interviews, how to be upskilled in your job. Because you were talking to the most untechnical person, like I did. I did last coding in class 10. So thank you so much for your time, and your answers were so concise, so clear. So I feel the audience must get a lot of knowledge from this podcast. So thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for scheduling this. And I'm glad to be connecting with students anytime. I actually try to make sure I connect with as many students as possible so that I can, it's like giving back as much as I can from the learnings I have done through my experience. So thank you so much for giving me this platform for doing that, and glad connecting with you. Thank you.